UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Lead is a shiny bluish-white metal when freshly cut, which tarnishes to a dull gray when exposed to air. It has the chemical symbol Pb and atomic number 82. Though lead has been used for centuries for various purposes, it has been proven poisonous to human health, the main reason civil society organizations and governments team up to sensitize the public on its dangers every year from 19th to 25th October. Akugizibwe Peter is the Executive Director, Western Media for Environment and Conservation, WEMECO.
Lead is a substance or a chemical that is used to manufacture paint. So that lead is put in the paint so that the paint can have a bright or shining element. That's why it is used there. Basically, they put that lead in color in the paint to bring out that element of shine, like the color to shine brighter. That's why they add that lead there. So basically, that's why they add it there. It is they add it there because the color has to bright shine and have that outlook of brightness. As I've told you, this leaded point, this is the point where they mix with kerosene. So any point that you see is being mixed with kerosene, just to know that is a leaded point. But these other points, as I've told you, there's points that they mix with water. Those are free lead. So if you're going to enter a house and you paint it today with maybe paint that has been mixed with water, it has no problem. But if you see a painter using kerosene, which in our lay language we call paraffin, that means that has lead. So you can take caution and say, this one has lead. And that's why we are now creating this awareness. People must be able to tell, how do I say this has lead, this has no lead.
Apart from paint, lead can also be found in other items, as Kamese, the Executive Director, BioVision Africa, explains.
Lead is not only found in paint, it can also be found in batteries. And if you remember, some years back, people in the city here in Kampala were stopped from eating yams in most of the wetlands of Kampala. Why? Because some of these, battery water is poured into our water bodies, and eventually it goes into our wetlands. And in the wetlands, the yams and other tuber crops suck them up. And when you eat them, you are getting poisoned as a result of the lead that is found in these yams. So lead can be also found in other substances. We are potential victims of lead poisoning. Our children are exposed, and their brains are being affected by this lead, and that is the reason why we must get concerned. For wetlands that are in these areas that we stay in, Kampala more especially, if you stay in Kampala and you find yams, be careful. You have to find out where these yams came from. If you just go for any yam, then you are you are at a very harmful stage of being poisoned by lead. But if you are very careful, you find out what the source of your yams is, and then you try to avoid taking yams that are poisoned. More especially for people, because this is not my own statement, it is a statement that came out indicating that our yams, our root tubers are poisoned, more especially those that are grown in our wetlands here.
Lead poisoning occurs when lead builds up in the body, often over months or years. Even small amounts of lead can cause serious health problems. Children younger than 6 years are especially vulnerable to lead poisoning, which can severely affect mental and physical development.
Research has shown, scientists have shown us that lead has effects with children who are below 5 years. So when they get exposed to it, it slows those children's ability to learn, to understand. Also, it brings stunted growth. So those are some of the issues why we try to create awareness so that parents or people, the guardians of children, can use alternative points that do not have lead, because also research has shown that, for example, in Uganda here, there are points that do not have lead. So we encourage parents or guardians or people who put up buildings to use alternatives so that we don't put our children into danger of being exposed to that lead, because lead is a very, very dangerous chemical to children. And research has also shown that even when a pregnant woman is exposed to that lead, to those, to lead, so it can even lead to premature birth, or children who are born cannot really understand. The IQ levels are reduced, and that's why we come up to create awareness, to tell people that you can use other alternatives and leave lead. And we are trying also to engage stakeholders like the manufacturers to phase it out, because like you see, in lead used to be in a petrol, but because of advocacy and educating people, creating awareness, now lead is no longer in petrol now, but before it was there. So, and using such kind of platforms, we have been engaging stakeholders to make sure that they phase out or they down phase the lead use in different products, but especially in the point, because in petrol it was phased out, it's no longer there.
Lead widespread use has caused extensive environmental contamination and health problems in many parts of the world. Advocates against lead poisoning do advise the public to be vigilant and opt for lead substitutes.
There are other paints that have been used. They are good, they are brighter, and they don't have lead. So, in my view, or what I could advocate for, let those people use leaded-free points, because leaded-free points are there and are even brighter than these leaded points. So when you are buying those points, you need to be keen and read, because ingredients are there. So if the ingredients do not have lead, then you can know that this point doesn't have lead. But those with lead, they're also there. They will say this point has lead. So you can easily tell. You as a parent, if you're going to do maybe paint your house or do something to do with the point, you must be very observant for your safety of your children, and also for your own safety if you're an age of, like if you are still producing, at that age of producing women. So you must safeguard yourself.
In the past, if you have been very observant, on many petrol stations, you buy petrol, but they tell you that it is unleaded or unleaded, meaning that initially there was petrol that was being sold on the market that contained lead. And after discovering the harmfulness of lead, it was eliminated from petrol. So that is also a good point to note that the world has already noted that lead is harmful. And to that effect, they have stopped lead use in fuels. That means it can also be stopped in other substances. Incidentally, not a specific law, but there are standards that have been developed internationally. For paints, for example, you have a 1 part per million standard that has been developed, and I think this is a standard that even UNBS, NEMA have also accepted and adopted. I think they have also encouraged, there are also encouragements to paint companies to minimize as much as possible the use of lead in some of these paints that they manufacture. More especially those bright painted or bright colored paints, including the oil paints that we see on the market.
Much as civil society organizations and government of Uganda continue to sensitize people on lead poisoning, they are challenged in many ways.
One of the biggest issues is that our awareness campaigns are not sustained. You know, like we are raising awareness now. Probably we shall again do the awareness almost next year. Yet this is a problem that is with us and it has to be solved by us. The other thing is that we don't have good laboratories to make the tests. That's why I told you when we do our tests, we have to send samples outside so that they can be assessed. And it involves a lot of cost. So when we send out, you know that we have gone through a very rigorous process of raising money, but also the standards, because sending this paint is something that can light very vigorously. So very many couriers don't want to carry such a kind of item. So all those are obstacles. But also the other challenge is when we carried out that study, we came out with very good results. We went to industries, and industries tell you that, you know, what you bought there was not ours. You come here and we give you ours, and you go and test it. And you know what that means? They want to give you something that is not having the same kind of chemicals that are on the shelves. So all those are very pertinent problems. But of course, some have been very honest, and they have told us, indeed, we have that problem, but we are working on it. That is good enough to at least give us the feeling that they know the problem and they are going to correct their problem. But recently, we have had Plascom coming out to say they have eliminated the use of lead. We shall one day carry out, when we do our studies, we don't warn. We just go on the streets, in the hardware shops, purchase the paint, export it for analysis outside, and then they give us results. So we shall not say when we shall do another study, but definitely we shall one day, carry out another study to see how much we have gone in terms of eliminating lead.
Kamese and Akugizibwe have a message for the public as we commemorate Lead Week.
As Western Media for Environment and Conservation, WEMECO, we have organized different activities, but as earlier told you, WEMECO uses media to do its work. So we are going to have talk shows, both on radio, TV, sport messages, but most of those things will happen in the Alberton region in Hoima. So for the national awareness campaign, we have worked with our partner, which is UBC TV and radio, to do this awareness for the national part. But for the region, like Albertine, we are working with different media houses to create awareness. But before I leave the microphone, I need to acknowledge our partners, BioVision Africa, who has been working with us tirelessly. We are very much appreciated. We are very grateful, and we call upon all people of walks of life to come and join us so that we tell people the dangers of these kind of chemicals so that we can be able to eliminate them out or face them down or face them out, because these things happen and they affect us. So if you see something affecting children, it's affecting the generation of tomorrow.
I want to call upon Ugandans, more especially parents, to be very careful because what you give your children eventually will affect their performance in the future. The exposure of lead to our children will eventually affect them, because you at times you beat your child and say, "Me, I was very sharp. Why are you very dull?" But the conditions you were exposed to are not the same conditions the children are exposed to. So I think we need, as parents, we need to be very, very careful on what kind of products we purchase. But also on the part of government, I think it's very important that we accept these standards and enforce them, not to just have them in paper and we don't see them being enforced. So my feeling is that government needs to work harder in terms of enforcing developed standards, but also in terms, like for example, for the wetlands, how do we dispose of the batteries? These batteries that we have, are they disposed of well? And if they are not well disposed of, how can we improve on our disposal methods? So I think we have really a lot to do as people, but also as government. But also I call upon the rest of Uganda to join the rest of the world, because this is an international event that is celebrated, that is commemorated globally. UNEP is involved, World Health Organization is involved, and other UN bodies and governments around the world. So please, let's join and commemorate this important date.
Childhood lead exposure has lifelong negative effects on mental health and personality, including increased risks for mental illnesses and personality traits like higher neuroticism. This impact is irreversible, and therefore reducing lead exposure is crucial for public health and long-term well-being.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
The Property Line, everything real estate.